matches was between the New York Giants and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, much more than all the high-flying action and bombs that went to the likes of Victor Cruz and Hakeem Nicks, we also had a pretty interesting ending as far as the NFL is concerned. Now, the Buccaneers decided to actually play while the Giants were taking a kneel, and I mean, I'm sure you've seen the clip by now. Eli got knocked over, and Tom Coughlin didn't take too kindly to it. Do you guys think that the Buccaneers did the right thing by playing the actual last down of the game? Lane?
I thought that it was a little unwarranted, but I think that people are overreacting to it a little, especially Tom Coughlin. Antonio Pierce said today that he did it 5 times under Tom Coughlin's watch, and Tom didn't say a word to him. So I think that Tom Coughlin's a little unwarranted with his anger towards the Bucs, but I do think that it wasn't a well-deserved shot.
All right. Mike?
It is football. Every time I'm watching this, the worse I think it gets with player safety, but it is football. You do play to the final whistle. From high school level to college level, you see that happen everywhere, especially with a game that close. The tensions were high. Guys were upset. They were angry that the game was pretty much over. So it looks more cheap the more you look at it, but it is football, and you got to move on.
Okay. Adler?
I'm a Bucs fan, and I don't think it was a huge deal. Yeah, the game was over, but I mean, it's football. It's not flag football. It's not a non-contact sport, and there was some time left on the clock, and there are always people complaining about pro athletes not playing hard. You know, you hear in like we were discussing earlier, guys not running hard down the line, baseball, other sports not playing hard. And I mean, you got to respect them for, even though they had just lost the game, they lost a heartbreaker, they're still trying to create something even with 5 seconds left on the clock, and the Giants were about to kill the clock. So I think I don't think it's a huge deal. And people are always trying to, and football is a violent game, and I know they try to protect the quarterbacks as much as possible, but he barely got touched. He just got tripped up a little bit. So I don't think it's as big of a deal as people are making it out to be.
Take us home, Gio.
If the Bucs were down maybe by 2 or 3 touchdowns and they did a similar thing, I would say it's kind of foul. But keep in mind, the Bucs were only down by 7. They had a 14-point lead heading into the fourth quarter. Eli Manning just started becoming the Eli Manning we all know and saw last year in the Super Bowl. So when you have a few minutes left on the clock or a few seconds, you're going to play to the last second. And why would you want to give up on something you're so close to winning? Josh Freeman did throw a pick, and it landed in Giants territory. So even if they were on the Bucs side of the field, you're not going to just stop playing. I mean, why would you stop playing when you're down by a certain amount of points? You have a few timeouts left. I mean, even though it was kind of questionable on Shannon's part, I think it was the right decision.
All right.
Let me get one more point.
Yeah,
here. And I also think it's kind of a big statement just with the Bucs, the way they tanked last year. They lost 10 games in a row to end the season, and it's also part of just kind of establishing a culture, showing the rest of the league, hey, we're not the same Bucs anymore. We're going to play till the last whistle, till the clock strikes 0. So I think that was also a big part of why that occurred as well.
All right. Looks like we got a pretty general consensus going around here. I'm going to give first place to Lane. Second place goes to Adler. Mike, I'm going to give you third. And Gio, bringing up the rear at fourth. Our next topic has to do with the Patriots and the Cardinals. Now, this was maybe an unexpected win on the Cardinals' behalf. I think most of us could say that, and it's one of those things where at the beginning of the season, everyone goes to their team's calendar and circles the wins that they expect to get. And I'm sure a lot of Patriots fans were chucking up that W. Not so fast. Ken Wisenhunt and the Cardinals marched in there yesterday and won 20-18. Now, I want you guys to tell me, did we learn yesterday that the Cardinals may be better than what we thought, or the Patriots might not be as good as what we were expecting going into this year? Gio?
I actually think the Patriots are a lot better than what they showed yesterday. Even though Gostowski missed a field goal wide left and they lost by 2 points, the Patriots always seem to start off a little bit slow every single year and end up going either 14-2 or 13-3. Tom Brady doesn't seem like Tom Brady, and even though Aaron Hernandez did leave the game, they still have a lot of offensive weapons. And Brandon Lloyd, you got Rob Gronkowski coming back. Stephon Ridley is really showing us that he's a good running back as well. And the Patriots' defense is very underrated. I think Chandler Jones and Dante Hightower are playing really well. The Cardinals only had 20 points, and they have players like Malcolm Floyd, Larry Fitzgerald, and Beanie Wells. So keeping a good Cardinals offensive squad at 20 points for a Patriots defense that's been known to be bad the past few years is pretty good. And especially with the AFC East with the Jets, Bills, and Dolphins, I see the Patriots still going 13-3 or 14-2.
All right. Adler?
Well, I think the Cardinals are better than we think because we all know the Patriots, they've got a great track record. I mean, when Tom Brady went down the first game of the season, they still won 10 games with Matt Castle. So, they're going to be there at the end. And the Patriots lost an early season game last year to the Bills. That was a pretty bad loss to early in the season. So I think you got to give the Cardinals some credit for coming out of the gate 2-0 pretty fast. Their whole quarterback controversy, who's going to be the starter. They barely named the starter a few days before the opening game of the season. And like I said, Patriots track record, Brady, all those guys, I don't need to list. Everybody knows up here, we're in New England, everybody knows this is on the Patriots. But I think the Cardinals, especially the Niners, are going to win that division. But if they keep playing like this, granted they're not going to win 14, 15 games, but they could maybe sneak into the playoffs if they keep sneaking up on teams playing solid football.
All right. Gio?
How are you,
sorry.
I think that the Cardinals are better than we think, but I also think the Patriots show that they're a vulnerable team. I don't think they can really circle any W's for the rest of the year. Losing to the Cardinals, yes, they didn't play that well, but they were used to a consistent Patriots team every year, and it looks like they're not as consistent offensively this year, especially with Aaron Hernandez out and Wes Welker hasn't been doing much. So I think that it's a little both ways. So we'll see what the Pats have to offer for the rest of the year, but I don't think they're going to go 14-2 and 13-3 at all.
Bring us home, Mike.
I think it's just a case of any given Sunday. Going to the game, Arizona was 13.5-point underdogs. They had Kevin Kolb going with Skelton out with the ankle injury. So I think it was just the Patriots overlooked them too much. And with Kolb coming in, he was pretty much the Philadelphia reject, and no one ever gave him a chance. So I just think that they just overlooked them. And that Aaron Hernandez injury, let's see what happens there. And an interesting thing of note is that's the first loss that the Patriots have had in their home opener since they've opened Gillette Stadium.
Well, I'm going to give you first place with that stat. That was a really cool stat. Second, I'm going to give to Lane. Third, I'm going to give to Gio. And Adler, you get fourth. Now, let's take it over to the desk and catch up on our scores.
After those first two topics, we have Kevin Adler has 4 points, Gio has 3 points, Jay-Z has 6, and Lane has 7. So right now, a battle between Adler and Gio is who will not make it to the second round. Back to you guys, Gary.
Now, let's get into this third topic. The Saints have started 0-2. Now, all the turmoil aside, you would think that maybe they could win a game to start the season. They haven't. Do you think that they could get their win before they really get in trouble and have to play Green Bay in Week 4, keeping in mind that they have to play the Chiefs this week? Mike?
I think that they should be able to pull it back just because of one man, and that's Drew Brees. A lot of defensive players got suspended, but you still have Drew Brees, who led the NFL in passing yards last year. No matter what player is out there, Drew Brees will just make them better. So as long as you have Drew Brees on your side, you're always going to have a shot. It's difficult with this coaching situation with Joe Vitt coming in after the seventh game, but I think as long as you have Drew Brees, you always have a shot.
All right. Gio?
I think the Saints are going to win this week against the Chiefs. We saw yesterday that Bills crushed them, and the Bills lost by 20 points to the Jets. And not even that, but they also lost Brandon Carr, the star cornerback, during the free offseason to free agency. And with Drew Brees on your team, a guy who broke Dan Marino's passing record last season, keep in mind, most of the players that were suspended for the bounty scandal were on defense, and the defense wasn't even that good last year to begin with, and yet they still made it to nearly the NFC Championship game. So I think this team can literally be put on Brees' back, and they have so many offensive weapons. They could score at least 50 points a game every single given night if they want to, and they always win the Superdome, minus that Redskin game. But overall, this team should not be losing against Kansas City Sunday.
All right. Adler?
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys. I think the Saints will find a way to get it done against the Chiefs. This isn't quite the same Saints team that we're used to last few years. They have the same personnel, of course, but we're seeing how much coaching, just Sean Payton and Greg Williams not being there, is making such a big difference. I think it was interesting watching ESPN earlier and talking about how big of a theme coaching is, and it's true. In football, you look at a guy like Harbaugh, comes into San Francisco, completely turns that whole franchise around. Alex Smith, dead in the water. Now we're talking about him being the most efficient quarterback maybe in the NFL. Not the best, but very efficient. And just shows the Saints, if they were playing a better team, I don't know if they would be able to get on in the win column. But they're playing the Chiefs, who have got blown out in both their games this year. So I think the Saints will find a way to get it done and get in the win column.
What do you think, Lane?
I think that the Saints will get their win this weekend. The Chiefs have the 26th worst ranked run defense and the 17th ranked pass defense. I think the offense is going to really pick up for the Saints this weekend. I think Drew Brees is going to get the ball rolling. Jimmy Graham's going to keep going. And then their running back core with those three backs is going to really pick up. And I think that they're going to need this game to start getting rolling for the rest of the season.
All right. I'm glad you guys knew that points were being awarded by how many times you mentioned Drew Brees. Based on that, Mike, you get first, and then I'm going to give Lane second, Gio third, and Adler fourth, who only said Drew Brees once.
Oh, you're killing
Now
me.
we're going to take it over to the desk and
Oh,
find out
that's
who's
me.
getting sent home.
And it looks like Kevin Adler is going to depart here on the second show of Bobcat Blitz for the semester. Sorry, Kevin.
So specific.
You have anything to add, Adler?
Yeah, I'm disappointed I got knocked out in the first round because I was looking forward to the second round for baseball, and I could. Baseball is more my expertise, but hey, whatever.
It's always next week.
There's always.
We are going to take it to a quick commercial break and then come back with baseball questions. Welcome on back to Bobcat Blitz. It's the second round, and for this round, we're going to specialize in baseball. Now, when we woke up this morning, the Yankees were in first place, but that could change day to day. Do you think they're going to finish out and win the AL East? Gio?
I think they're going to finish the season on top of the AL East because of a few reasons. One, Andy Pettit is finally coming back next Tuesday, which is pretty much, my apologies, he's coming back tomorrow. Sorry about that. But also, Ivan Nova finally came off a DL last week and shut down the Tampa Bay Rays. So the Yankees' main struggle has been one, pitching, and two, runners in scoring position. And when you bring back guys like A-Rod a few weeks ago and bring back some pitching, all you have to do is rely on players like you, CC, Nova, Kuroda to go at least maybe 6 or 7 innings of 2 or 3 runs because the Yankees' offense is always one of the best in the league and they're led by the home run. Even though it's not really a specifically good thing and Curtis Granderson's kind of in a slump, I think a team will make the playoffs, but I don't know about a postseason run.
Mike?
I think they should be able to hold off. Michael Kay, even though he doesn't say a lot of correct things, he did say this, that the Orioles are just a team that won't go away. They're just always in the thick of things. Their reason they're doing this, they're having great starting pitching, and they're able to put runs on the board. The Yankees have not gotten the starting pitching, but as Gio mentioned, Ivan Nova's back. They're getting Andy Pettit back. CC Sabathia has been an all-right pitcher, but the real key this season was that one-year contract with Hiroki Kuroda, and he's been the pretty much go-to ace this year, which is a big surprise. So if they even make the playoffs or make that wild card game, does he go in game 1 of the wild card series, or do you give it to CC Sabathia? I think you got to go with Sabathia because he was brought in to be your ace, but Kuroda's been a nice surprise this year.
Lane?
I think the Yanks get it done. They only play 3 more games against a team with a winning record, that being the A's this weekend. The rest is against teams with losing records. 14 games against teams with losing records. You're putting yourself in a good situation to make it to the playoffs. I think that they'll hold off the Orioles for sure.
I got one more fact before we end the topic. The Orioles have a negative run differential. The last time a team that made the playoffs with a negative run differential was the 1987 Minnesota Twins. So that's kind of a bad stat for the Orioles entering the latter end of this regular season.
All right. I'm going to give Lane first, Gio second, and Mike third. Now we're going to split it up and go to each league where in this many games in the season, I want you guys to tell me your MVP. For first, the American League. Lane?
I got Miguel Cabrera. He's in the top 5 in all 3 major categories for offense. He's leading home runs and RBIs. He's leading in batting average and RBI, sorry. I think that he'll hold off Mike Trout. It's a 2-man race, really. So I think that he gets the nod because he's in all 3 of the top 5 stats.
Okay. Mike?
I got to go with the pride of New Jersey and Mike Trout. Just a guy, 21 years old, brought up the amount of home runs he's robbed this year, the offensive output, just he's the chance of being an AL MVP and an AL Rookie of the Year, first since Ichiro Suzuki, is just outstanding. I just think that what he's been given as a rookie at 21 years old and what he's been able to do in this game should get the nod, be AL MVP.
Gio.
I'm going to have to agree with more Jay-Z on this one. I'm going to go with Mike Trout. Keep in mind, the Angels were not doing that well, even though they brought in C.J. Wilson and Albert Pujols, two really big free agent signings this past offseason. Kind of struggled early on, but when they brought Trout up this season, the Angels finally got back into the playoff contention, as well as the AL West with the Rangers and Athletics. Mike Trout has been making amazing plays in the outfield, runs the bases very well. He's got the most amount of runs scored for any rookie in any season. And as well as, like you said, he's just one of the greatest players in the game right now, only a young age, making Bryce Harper look silly at this point. And so I'm going to have to go with Mike Trout.
Yeah, no, he's making him look like a clown, bro. I'm going to give first to Lane. Miggy's in the top. I love that stat. I mean, it's pretty well-rounded. And then I'm going to give second to Mike and Gio third. Now, tell me your National League MVP, Mike.
Ooh. I'm gonna go. I'm not gonna go with the. I'm gonna go something different. Even though he's not playing anymore, I like Steven Strasburg because the importance of the pitch count has really brought our attention this year. I'm just going off of most valuable, what he's done for that national team this year. I just like how important that pitch count was and the fact that they shut him down. I just want to see what the Nationals can do with the rest of the team, just on his importance to the team and what it goes in moving into the playoffs.
No, that's pretty interesting. I mean, we might actually even find out how true that is once the playoffs start and he's not there. Gio?
I'm going to have to go with Buster Posey, the catcher of the San Francisco Giants. Two years ago, the Giants won the World Series. Last year, Buster Posey went down for the year with an injury and the Giants missed the playoffs. This year, Buster Posey has been batting over 300 with at least like maybe 15 home runs and around 80 RBIs. And the Dodgers, who made so many big trades this season, including that one with Boston, they're 4 games back behind the Giants. Buster Posey literally makes that team. He makes the pitchers look better. He's made Lincecum seem a lot better. Even though he had a very struggling first half, you got Bumgarner, Matt Cain, another Cy Young candidate. He makes the pitchers better. He's a veteran leader in the clubhouse, and most of all, he brings the bat.
All right. Who do you think, Lane?
I have Ryan Braun winning it just because he's first in home runs, second in RBIs. Those are 2 stat lines that you can't get over. So I got to give it to him. I know you guys picked 2 unlikely heroes, but I think I'm going to go with the obvious one and go with Ryan Braun.
Can't disagree there. I saw the stat line last night, another homer. He's got 40 this year, so I'm going to give first place to Ryan Braun. Then I'm going to have some faith and give Mike and Strasburger second and Gio third. Let's take it over the desk and see who's going home.
And it looks like Gio Mio is going to be heading home tonight. Looks like Mike and Lane are going to be fighting it out to see who's champion tonight.
All right, Gio, anything you got to say before you head home?
Nah, just good luck to you guys, and whoever wins is the better one. That's pretty much all I can say.
That's so true. We'll be right back with the Ray and Mike's Shootout. Welcome back to Bobcat Blitz. We've got 2 contestants left, and after this, we're only going to have one. It's the Ray and Mike Shootout. Fellas, shake hands. Now, getting into the theme of the first couple weeks of football, I want you guys to split it up and tell me both. Well, tell me your NFC MVP, Mike.
My NFC MVP, I'm gonna go with.
Going into the season.
Going in this. Wow. Oh. Trying to think, there's a bunch of 2-0 teams. I'm going with San Francisco. I'm going to go with Alex Smith. What he's done with that Peyton Manning controversy, of him being basically almost pushed out of San Francisco, what he's done to put the San Francisco 49ers to 2-0, and just going through that situation where he was vilified as being the #1 pick in San Francisco when he didn't do too well, and now being led and Jim Harbaugh being right behind him. I'm just going to go with Alex Smith having his team at 2-0.
Lane?
Well, you got me on that one because I was going to say Alex Smith too. Like you said, just amazing what these Giants have done in the past year and 2 weeks. They've really turned it around and made themselves a formidable team in the NFL. And you got to look to the head, Alex Smith leading that offense there.
Guess I'll give it to the first guy who said Alex Smith. Mike, you're going to get the first point on this. Now, let's go to the AFC. At the end of the year, who's your AFC MVP?
I think Matt Schaub's going to get the AFC MVP just because I think the Texans are really going to run away with the AFC. I think they've shown to us that that they're the most complete team. So I think Matt Schaub or Arian Foster could go with the AFC MVP just because I really do think the Texans are going to run away with the AFC.
Mike?
I agree with that, but I'm going to go with, even though we've only seen them play one game, Peyton Manning. We thought he would never be the same, and when he played against Pittsburgh, it just showed what he's brought, a presence to Colorado. And I just think we'll see after Monday night tonight, if he's still got what it takes, getting his 400th career touchdown last week and just having Eric Decker, Demaryius Thomas, just seeing balls come directly at him, unlike Tim Tebow last year. And just Peyton Manning just brought in the vibe back to Denver, what they haven't had since John Elway. So I just like to see what Peyton Manning can do after a year off.
All right. Love Peyton, but I got to award the original answer over here. Maybe Matt Schaub, if we see him for a full season, could win and be an AFC MVP type player. Now, we have a little bit of football that's going to kick off in about an hour, a little less than an hour. We got the Falcons, Matty Ice, and Peyton going to take the field. Who you got tonight and why? Lane?
I got the Broncos winning. I think we've been talking about Peyton a little. I think Peyton continues a really storied comeback, and I think that the Broncos defense hold it together. I just don't trust Matt Ryan in the Atlanta offense yet. They got some good pieces, but I think that the Broncos will take it tonight.
Mike?
This hurts me to say, but the Atlanta Falcons, considering that one of my good friends was cut by the Falcons later in training camp, but playing in the Georgia Dome, playing at home, playing in a dome stadium, the crowd's going to get behind you. They have Julio Jones and Roddy White to line up outside, so I think Matt Ryan's going to have a good game with those two receivers outright. And I think that just the home field advantage is going to help them through this game today.
That very well could be. But last week when I turned on my TV and I saw number 18 take the field, he was very much all business, and I don't think he's going to deviate tonight. So today's champion in first place goes to Lane. Congrats.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy to win my first time. Hopefully there'll be a couple more victories over the next 3 years. So thank you guys for having me on. All
right. Well, that does it for tonight's edition of Bobcat Blitz. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week with a QBSN / national sports themed show hosted by my good friend Zach Daly. Take it easy.